When was the last time you truly did nothing? Not scrolling, not checking your phone, not planning the next thing, just breathing. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Yet for most of us, doing nothing feels wrong, almost guilty, as if stillness itself is a crime. We live in a world that worships speed, faster internet, faster results, faster everything. We call it progress, but more often, it's just noise disguised as meaning. We rush through mornings, through meals, through life itself, thinking we're catching up when in truth, we're running from the very peace we're seeking. What if slowing down isn't falling behind, but finally catching up not with the world, but with yourself? If that thought touches something in you, share it in the comments. You never know who your moment of honesty might inspire. 1. The illusion of progress. Our world moves fast, so fast that stillness can feel like failure. We grow up surrounded by the belief that busyness equals value, that the faster we move, the closer we get to fulfillment. But look closer, and you'll notice that speed often hides something deeper: emptiness. The illusion of progress convinces us that more movement means more meaning, yet the heart quietly knows the difference. We fill our days with plans, calls, and constant activity, but our minds never feel rested. It's as if we've mistaken noise for life itself. Letting go, in its truest sense, begins when we start to see through this illusion. There's a kind of stillness that doesn't ask for our attention but waits patiently beneath all the motion. Imagine the ocean. On the surface, waves crash and break, constantly moving and reshaping themselves. But beneath that chaos, the water is calm, deep, and steady. That's what mindfulness feels like, learning to live from that quiet depth instead of being tossed around by every new wave. Inner peace isn't found by adding more layers of control or effort. It comes from peeling them away. We try to manage every detail, chase every opportunity, and hold life tightly in our hands. Yet, the tighter we hold, the more it slips through our fingers. The truth is, peace doesn't come from mastering life, it comes from allowing it. Letting go of control isn't weakness, it's trust. Trust that even if the current slows, you are still being carried. You might notice this truth in small, unexpected moments when you stop mid-step to watch leaves floating on a pond, or when sunlight filters through your window and you realize how long it's been since you actually noticed the morning. Those seconds of awareness hold more wisdom than hours of rushing ever could. There's a quiet invitation in such moments, to pause, to breathe, to simply exist without needing to achieve anything. That pause is where real clarity begins. We tend to think growth happens only through striving, but nature shows us another rhythm. Trees don't force their branches to stretch faster. Rivers don't argue with the shape of the land, they flow, bend, and find their way. In the same way, when you allow yourself to slow down, life starts to guide you instead of the other way around. The constant need to prove yourself begins to soften, and in its place, awareness blooms. Try noticing the spaces between things, the silence between sounds, the breath between thoughts, the calm between plans. Those spaces are not empty, they are full of presence. The mind, which once rushed to fill every gap, starts to see that stillness isn't the absence of life, it's where life quietly happens. Letting go and slowing down are not acts of retreat, they're acts of return, returning to the rhythm that was always natural but long forgotten. When the noise finally runs out, something else emerges, the soft hum of being. It's gentle, almost shy at first, but it holds everything you've been searching for: peace of mind, emotional healing, and the spiritual awakening that comes not from striving, but from surrendering. And maybe, the next time you feel that familiar urge to hurry, you'll catch yourself for a moment. Maybe you'll take a breath, listen to the quiet, and realize you're already exactly where you need to be. 2. The gentle power of slowing down. There is a quiet kind of strength in slowing down, a power so subtle that most of us overlook it. In a world that constantly demands speed, slowing down feels almost rebellious. Yet, it's in that rebellion that true mindfulness begins to unfold. When you stop running, even for a moment, the world doesn't fall apart as you feared. It expands. The sound of rain isn't just noise anymore. It becomes music. Sunlight isn't just something that lights your path. It starts to warm your soul. In those moments, you don't lose time, you meet it. Life reveals itself not in motion, but in stillness. The truth is, slowing down isn't laziness, it's clarity. The body knows this instinctively. Even the heart, which beats tirelessly, has a rhythm. It contracts, then releases. Without the pause between beats, there would be no life. The same applies to our days. We rush from task to task, thought to thought, forgetting that rest is what gives shape to effort, and silence is what gives meaning to sound. Letting go of the need to rush isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that peace of mind doesn't arrive when everything is done, but when you stop trying to outrun yourself. Nature teaches this lesson endlessly. Watch how a river moves. It flows with purpose, but never hurries. It curves around rocks, deepens where it slows, and shines brightest when it's calm. Even the mountains, standing silently for centuries, remind us that strength isn't found in motion but in presence. In that way, slowing down is a spiritual awakening, an invitation to return home to your own rhythm, to remember that you are not separate from the universe's pace, but part of it. There's a certain mindfulness that comes naturally when you move slower. You start to taste your food instead of eating in distraction. You notice the air brushing against your skin. The moments between things, the ones you usually rush through, begin to feel full, not empty. In those spaces, inner peace quietly takes root. You may find, almost accidentally, that breathing feels different when you give it your full attention. The air moves in, soft and cool, and leaves just as gently. If you listen long enough, that simple rhythm begins to guide you. It tells you what needs to stay and what can be released. That's the essence of letting go. It isn't about giving up. It's about giving into life as it is. There's something profoundly healing in that realization. Slowing down allows emotional healing to happen naturally, without forcing it. The mind begins to loosen its grip on control, and the heart opens in its own time. You don't have to search for calmness. You simply stop disturbing it. Somewhere in the quiet, you'll notice a shift. The world seems softer, your thoughts less sharp, your body lighter. It's as if the universe exhales through you. If you ever want to experience this gentle power for yourself, try noticing how time feels during the simplest acts: washing your hands, walking outside, or waiting for water to boil. See what happens when you give your full attention to what's already happening. You'll find that the ordinary becomes sacred, and the mundane becomes meaningful. That's the secret the modern world forgets. Slowing down doesn't make you fall behind. It allows you to arrive fully in your own life. It doesn't make you less, it makes you whole. 3. Letting go of the urge to hurry. The urge to hurry lives quietly inside almost everyone. It's that subtle pressure that whispers you should be further along, that you haven't done enough, that resting is dangerous. Modern life feeds that feeling. Every screen flashes reminders of what others are doing, where they're going, how fast they're moving. It creates a constant hum of comparison, as if stillness itself is a form of failure. But what if letting go of the rush doesn't make you lose control? It helps you find balance. Letting go in its purest sense, is not about stopping. It's about trusting that life continues even when you're still. The natural world proves this over and over again. Seasons never compete to arrive first. Spring doesn't force its blossoms. It unfolds. The tide doesn't panic to reach the shore. It comes and goes with quiet certainty. Even the sun, with all its power, rises and sets at its own pace. None of these things hurry, yet everything happens right on time. That rhythm is not separate from you, it's within you. When you let go of the urge to hurry, something almost invisible begins to shift. The weight in your chest softens. Time feels less like something to manage and more like something to experience. You start to realize that the world doesn't fall apart when you pause. Instead, it opens. The minutes you once tried to squeeze for productivity stretch into small, meaningful moments. Ordinary acts, pouring tea, tying your shoes, stepping outside, start to feel like tiny ceremonies. You notice that peace of mind isn't a reward waiting at the end of achievement. It's already here, woven into the spaces between things. The real work, then, is to allow yourself to notice it. You might test this idea the next time you feel rushed. Instead of forcing yourself to move faster, stop for a heartbeat. Listen to what's around you. The hum of a refrigerator, the wind brushing past a window, the sound of your own breathing. These are not distractions. They're reminders that life continues, gracefully, even without your constant push. The mind will resist at first. It's addicted to forward motion. It believes peace will come once you finish the next task, solve the next problem, cross the next invisible line. But mindfulness, as the Buddha taught, is about being where you are. It's not passive, it's presence. It's choosing to live inside this moment instead of chasing the next one. The beauty of letting go of urgency is that it transforms your relationship with time. When you're no longer fighting it, time stops feeling like an enemy. It becomes a companion, steady, patient, forgiving. You begin to see that every pause holds meaning. Every delay hides grace. Even mistakes start to feel softer when you view them through patience instead of panic. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's learned in small gestures, in how you breathe when the line at the grocery store moves too slowly, or how you look at the sky instead of your phone while waiting for someone to call. These small acts of slowing down teach the heart what the mind has forgotten, that you don't need to force life to happen. It's already happening. The river doesn't rush to reach the sea, yet it always gets there. The same current that guides the river also guides you. Trust that rhythm. Let it move you, gently, and as you release your grip on the clock, you may discover that peace was never somewhere in the distance. It was right here, quietly waiting for you to slow down enough to feel it. 4. The practice: how to let go and be present. Peace doesn't live in a distant monastery or a long retreat. It begins in something far simpler: the breath. The modern world has trained us to chase peace as if it's a destination, something to reach once we've fixed, completed, or achieved enough. But the truth is, the more we chase, the further it drifts. Letting go and being present isn't about escaping your life, it's about returning to it. The mind, always restless, likes to believe it runs the show. It wants to plan, solve, and predict. Yet, if you watch nature for even a moment, you'll see how harmony exists without such control. The sky doesn't organize its clouds, and the ocean doesn't instruct its waves on how to rise or fall. Everything moves according to its rhythm. When we practice mindfulness, we remember that same rhythm lives in us too. The breath is our bridge to that awareness. Quiet, steady, constant. Every inhale reminds us of life entering. Every exhale, of life releasing. To truly let go, you don't have to do more. You have to stop doing. Sit quietly for a while. No phone, no goal, no background noise. Just sit. You'll notice at first the noise inside grows louder, thoughts bouncing, plans forming, worries resurfacing. Don't fight them. Let them pass the way clouds drift across an open sky. That's the gentle art of mindfulness, observing without clinging. As you allow thoughts to come and go, something begins to soften. The body relaxes, the breath deepens. A small space opens between awareness and reaction. That space, however fragile it feels, is freedom. It's in that space that peace begins to grow. The practice of letting go isn't reserved for monks or scholars. It belongs to anyone willing to pause long enough to notice life happening. Imagine sitting beside a still lake. The water only reflects the trees, the clouds, the sunlight when it's calm. The same is true for the mind. When it slows, it begins to see clearly, not just the world around it, but the truth within it. This isn't about avoiding problems or pretending pain doesn't exist. It's about meeting everything, joy, loss, confusion, with presence instead of panic. That shift changes everything. When you stop trying to control every wave, you realize the ocean can carry you. It always has. In daily life, presence looks ordinary. Feeling the cool air on your face as you open a window, noticing how water feels against your hands, hearing the faint rhythm of your heartbeat when everything else goes quiet. These are not small things. They are doorways. If you walk through them often enough, the constant tension of life starts to ease. Letting go becomes less about effort and more about remembering. You don't have to fix your thoughts. You just have to see them. You don't have to chase calmness. You just have to stop disturbing it. Every breath offers a chance to return to yourself, to this moment, to the quiet truth that the world keeps spinning beautifully without your control. When you sense that, you begin to feel a strength far gentler than power, the kind that doesn't conquer but understands, the kind that doesn't rush but remains steady. It's the strength of peace, the strength of presence, the strength that comes from letting go and realizing that life, in all its rhythm and imperfection, is already enough. A teacher once told me, "A candle never rushes to shine brighter. It simply glows." And maybe that's what letting go truly means, to stop fighting life's current and let your own light unfold naturally. So the next time your mind says, "Hurry up," take one slow breath and whisper back, "I'm already here." Because you are. You're not falling behind, you're finally arriving. And perhaps, in that stillness, you'll feel what all the running was trying to find all along. Peace, presence, and the quiet truth that you were never lost, only rushing past yourself.